April 28th is the National Day of Mourning to remember and honor those who have died or have been injured in the workplace. Workers gathered outside of City Hall in Lloydminster this morning for refreshments and a flag lowering.
It's a very important day because I had no idea the sheer number of people, I think most people don't, the sheer number of people that have died to workplace injury or illness in the last year in the two provinces between Alberta and Saskatchewan. That number's creeping up on 200 people, you know, if you combine the two provinces, and that's just a very sad thing. And so today, to take the time and remember those people that have died in the line of duty in their work is a very important thing.
Despite the injury numbers slowly increasing, the City of Lloydminster is confident in their safety capabilities.
The City of Lloydminster builds safety into everything that we do. Our safety management system is really a part of our operational systems, and so all of our workers approach the day with safety on the minds, do hazard assessments, and make sure that they do their work in a safe and appropriate manner.
This year marks the 39th year since the inception of the Day of Mourning. That looks like a lot of fun on the court. Perks of being a reporter some days. Now let's check in with Shelby Clark for another look at your evening weather forecast.
Thanks so much again there, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, it is, there is some nice perks out there. Yeah, that is very true indeed. Switching over to an extended look at your weather forecast, we have picked it up quite a bit, especially on our Alberta side here in our central area, especially over in Jasper, now at 22 degrees. And they were even looking at some cooler conditions throughout the week compared to these other areas in Jasper and Banff. They were kind of seeing those single digits. So now that they're hitting 22, it's quite nice to see as we are looking more into the spring season, summer season. For the rest, we are seeing those double digits, slightly cooler than that 22-degree mark. 18, 19 for Red Deer and Rocky Mountain House, while the rest are just sitting between 16 and 17 degrees. So we are looking still quite nice in these areas on our Alberta side. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, they are kind of matching with us on our Alberta side with those temperatures. Prince Albert at Melfort looking slightly cooler just by a few degrees at 14, but still seeing those double digits. And then we have 17 for Meadow Lake, and Saskatoon in North Battleford is still just sitting underneath that 20-degree mark. Now going over to our northern zone, they have warmed it up as well, kind of like what we are seeing in our central area. Most spots are now seeing those double digits, which is nice to see, especially if we're in our northern zone on our Saskatchewan side. La Loche and Buffalo Narrows both seeing the warmest conditions with 14. Most spots are just sitting at that 10-degree mark, and then we have 3 and 5 with South End and Flin Flon, as they are definitely looking slightly cooler compared to the rest of those areas. Going back over to our Alberta side here in our northern zone, they are looking a lot warmer as well as we have been going through the week. We are kind of matching with these temperatures for the most part on our Alberta side especially. Grand Prairie is just a couple degrees off from that 20-degree mark, and then we start to slightly cool down, but we are still seeing in those mid-teens between 15 to 16 degrees. Slave Lake is looking just a couple degrees cooler, just at 13. And now as we go over to our southern zone, they are also just hitting that 20-degree mark, especially in Medicine Hat there. The rest are getting slightly closer, 18 in Calgary, while Banff and Lethbridge both at 19 degrees. And then we have that 17 up in Coronation, but they are seeing some nice, beautiful temperatures there as they are getting closer past that 20-degree mark. And going back over to our Saskatchewan side here, they have warmed it up. Now seeing those double digits, of course, after these past few gloomy days, we have been cooling down quite a bit. So it's nice to see that we are looking at some beautiful conditions for the weekend. Yorkton is seeing the coolest, just hitting that 10-degree mark, and then we start to warm up from there. 11 degrees in Estevan, and then most spots are just sitting at 16, 17, and Moose Jaw is just at 19 degrees. But now as we look at some overnight evening lows, as we are looking across the surrounding area on this list here, we are going to be slightly moving back to those minus points. The coolest we have been seeing, honestly, is around that low of -2 expected for some of these areas. So Meadow Lake is expecting that low of -2. Bonnyville is expecting a low of -1, and the rest here are expecting that 0 mark to 1 degree mark for their evening low temperatures. So I would say with these temperatures, they're still quite nice for tonight, and condition-wise, it's all very low chances of any rainfall or flurries. It's going to be very calm and clear tonight, so I would say it's going to be a beautiful evening as we head into our weekend. And looking at our hourly forecast for our Saturday here in the border city, we're already seeing those plus temperatures right off in the morning. And as we go through the day to our mid-afternoon to 4 p.m., we are going to be hitting that 15 and 16 degree mark, which will be lovely. And we won't be cooling down by too much tomorrow evening as we head into our Sunday, because we are expecting a beautiful weekend indeed. 17 Sunday, a mixture of sun and cloud on both those days for the weekend. So make sure to get out there, maybe take a nice walk at Bud Miller Park. I haven't been able to say that recently, now I can actually bring that back and say to make sure to get outside and exercise and enjoy it. And as we head into next week, we're even going to be starting off with that 22 degrees on Monday, so even getting into those 20 temperatures for the week. And we will see that continue through next Tuesday to next Wednesday, and even reaching that 25 on Wednesday as well. And we will see those conditions continue on into next Thursday and Friday. And that's all I have for now. RJ Smacky will have more news coming up after the break.
Today we have Mikey Dubs, a local marathon runner who just competed in the Boston Marathon and of course did quite well, as you can see by this medal. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Mikey.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here.
All right, Mikey, so let's start. How did you become a marathon runner? What gave you the passion, and when did you kind of start up as a marathon runner?
So I started running just because I suffered from a knee injury during competitive soccer, and I wanted to kind of do a you versus you mentality thing. And one of the things when I was researching what's an active sport that you can do that's just kind of you challenging yourself, and running came up. And I did a little bit of track and field in high school, nothing like major, and so I slowly just kind of took on running, 500 meters, a kilometer at a time, and yeah, it just kind of grew from there. I really liked what it did for me mentally and physically. So yeah, that's basically the starting point of how I became a runner.
And so kind of what were those first major kind of competition runs that you began with kind of back when you were younger and kind of getting out of high school and stuff like that?
So in high school, I specialized in 100 meters, long jump and high jump. So nothing really with distance, nothing with endurance. And then when I started running about 3 years ago, some of the accomplishments was just trying to get 500 meters, trying to get a kilometer. I remember I was explaining this to a run group last night. My biggest accomplishment I remember still to this day when I started running was when I accomplished a 4-kilometer run. I remember getting home and being like, I set a bar I thought so high for myself just doing 4 kilometers, wasn't even a 5K, and I was just thrilled. So it was such a small goal at the initial time of starting to run, and it just, like I say to everyone, it eventually grows. We all start somewhere, right? So that's kind of my running, kind of starting point from high school. And I took a lot of time off. I was big into snowboarding and wakeboarding and those things, so I didn't do much with endurance sports at all. And literally it was just after an injury in competitive soccer that I took up the running kind of endeavor.
Okay, and so you've obviously done plenty of races since then. Tell me how you kind of got set up and started thinking about going all the way down to Boston, Massachusetts for the Boston Marathon, kind of that process of getting set up to go down there.
So, I started with a 5K, 10K, and then we had a period in life where, everything shut down. So a lot of races were canceled. So I didn't get too much kind of exposure to the marathon distances. The first race that I could attend in person after that shutdown time was a 100K. So I actually signed up and I did a 100K race. So I kind of missed that kind of milestone of doing 5, 10. I did a 21 and then I missed the full marathon and then I went straight to 100K. So then once I did the 100K, I did a few more 100Ks, ultra marathons. And then, a lot of people said to me, you've got to experience Boston. And the one thing that I find beautiful with Boston is not just anyone can go sign up. You have to qualify with a time that's preset for your age bracket. And then depending on what your time is, then you have to apply for it and see if they'll accept you. So it wasn't something where you just put your name in a lottery and hope that they draw it. It was something that you actually had to, be strategic about. You had to train and you had to prepare for it, and then you had to race a prelim race to qualify, which I think is, one of the biggest takeaways from going to Boston was, that's what everyone said. It was the qualifier to get to Boston. Now that you're in Boston, enjoy the Boston run, because you've already done what you could to get here, and you've proved that you can run in their set guidelines. So now that you're at Boston, there's no set guidelines. It's about just absorb the environment and enjoy the what's happening here. So.
Okay, and so then tell me a little bit about the Boston Marathon. Everybody kind of knows about the Boston Marathon. It's probably the most famous marathon in the world. But how long is the Boston Marathon, and then how do you compete in order, what's the kind of guideline, especially in order to get the medal there?
So it's 42.2 kilometers, a standard marathon. Boston's a little bit more challenging. It's not flat. It's known to be a bit of a harder course because the fluctuation in temperature. The first half of the course is all primarily downhill, and then once you kind of crest that halfway point, then it's a slow, gradual climb to the finish line. There's a few hills. There's one, famous hill that they call Heartbreak Hill, and it's this kind of like it's a little bit more of a extreme climb. I believe it's at about mile 22, mile 18. And so at that point, you're already kind of exhausted. You're getting to the point where you're depleted, and now you got to climb a hill after you've been running downhill for so long. Going back to it, so it's 42.2. It's downhill then uphill, so it's not a nice, flat, easy course. It's known to have a lot of headwind. In a nutshell, the starting point is you line up with 35,000 plus people. You're kind of in corrals depending on your qualifying time, and it's like having all of Lloydminster plus another Lloydminster standing in a 4-block radius from wall to wall, 4-lane, and everyone shoulder to shoulder, extremely nervous and extremely excited all at the same time, waiting for that gun to go off. And the best part is, in that fleet of runners, at the front of the line, there's, the world's best, guys that hold world records. Attended this year, their elite class of athletes that came down this year was next to none. So it was actually it was quite neat to experience that you got to start a race with Eliud Kipchoge, who's won, many gold medals, has world records, has beat the 2-hour marathon. His thing is no humans limited. So that was probably almost more amazing as a runner to experience that.
Awesome. And then, yes, of course, an excellent medal here that you won. I'm very impressed with the horse and the unicorn medallion that Boston Athletics has. But thank you so much for being with us today, Mikey, and telling us about the Boston Marathon. And congratulations once again to you for the marathon run.
Thank you very much.
Coming up this weekend, there's a great event that you and your whole family can enjoy. The Bordertown High School Rodeo is on at the Lloyd X Saturday and Sunday, and it's a chance to see some local athletes and also some athletes that have come from across Saskatchewan to compete. And there's a number of different rodeo events that are going to take place this weekend, including team roping, pole bending, and more. The junior events start at 8 a.m. both days, with the senior events to follow. Just head to the Lloyd X to check out the rodeo action. Now is the time to get your ticket for Malonka in May. It's coming up next Saturday, May 6th, being hosted by the Lloydminster Ukrainian Cultural Association. And this event is one that the whole family can enjoy. There's going to be a chance to win some door prizes. They have a delicious Ukrainian supper on the menu, plus a performance by the Malonka dancers, and so much more. There's still a few tickets available, so don't miss out on this great event. A great way to kick off summer with the Lloydminster Malonka dancers. To get your tickets, get in touch with Tara, 780-214-5594. And Tim and the Glory Boys are bringing their Hometown Hoedown tour to the Vic Juba Community Theatre coming up on Thursday night. Tickets are still available for this great show. Go online, vicjubatheatre.ca. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Thanks so much for joining us in studio here today, everybody, for this week's entertainment panel. And we got here me and Abby St. John, of course.
Yes, of course. It's not a Friday without the entertainment panel. We're going to say it every time because it's true.
Yeah, I think it's everybody's favorite day of the week, and we just add to it.
Yeah. We just make it better.
Yeah, we have the best day of the week, so I think everybody's saying TGIF, and I can't wait to see Abby and Shelby in studio.
Of course.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us today, and we got some good Disney topics on the go today. And first one we have is, speaking on The Little Mermaid, and I think a lot of people are excited for this. Very controversial, I would say, too. Just everybody's opinions you see online about this and whatnot. But I think, honestly, this trailer looks fantastic, and there's a lot going on. You know, there's a lot more information we got out of it. We got to see more characters.
Yeah.
I know some people are kind of making jokes about the way certain characters look, but we'll see a little bit more about that. We'll talk a bit more, so let's take a look at the trailer.
We aren't supposed to be this far from the palace, Ariel. Getting cold fins. Look at this. Thunder, look out! Ah!
Yeah, this trailer, it gives us, like you said, more information, and we do see some of the other characters. Most importantly, we see Scuttle, Flounder, and Sebastian. And of course, I've seen a lot of jokes online about how Sebastian looks.
Yeah.
Very different to what he looks like in the animated movie.
And Flounder, I've seen that too.
And Flounder is
Yeah.
also, but of course, they look more realistic, obviously, because it's a live action opposed to the animated cartoon. But this little trailer that we got showed a lot more of Ursula as well. Melissa McCarthy is playing the iconic Ursula, and she looks and sounds fantastic
Yes,
in it.
I
I
agree.
think she was a perfect choice to cast. There was also a new poster released showing all of Ariel's sisters, and of course there are theories online that each sister represents the 7 seas. So they're keeping true to that as well, and the representation within those sisters is also shown as well, because you have a different nationality really for every single sister. So I'm very excited about that and that element to it, and of course Trident.
Yeah, I was gonna
Javier
say.
Bardem looks amazing as always.
Yeah,
So
and I was gonna say Javier got busy.
Yeah.
a lot of daughters.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think he's also a perfect role as King Triton because he has that power, that aura of power to him. So I think it works really well. So I'm very excited. We didn't see too much about on Prince Eric, but of course the movie's not about Prince Eric. It's about Ariel.
Yeah, like whatever.
So
Yeah.
he's just kind of in the background because no one cares about Prince Eric. This movie is about Ariel and her, following her dreams and all of that. Of course, there is that love within it because she does fall in love with him, but who cares?
Yeah, I think even if things were different with the different characters in the posters from what we saw with Flounder and whatnot, even if they made it a little bit more unrealistic to those cartoonish characters, people would still have an issue.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I don't think everyone's going to be happy about everything.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some backlash or opinions here and there, but I think for the most part from just the trailer, without even looking at the posters, but from the voices and the way those characters move and everything, and Ursula, I think it looks fantastic.
I think so too.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really exciting. And we got some more with Disney when it comes on to speaking on a little bit more diversity in their projects, and we got even a new princess from what it seems like. But we've got a trailer for this, and this one is called Wish. And it looks interesting. I honestly wouldn't be able to say much about what's going on in that movie. I was telling you this before. But it seems like it's going to be a cute movie with the little goats and whatnot. So let's take a look.
Imagine a place where wishes come true. Where your heart's desire can become a reality.
Yeah, this movie is coming out in November, so we only got really a teaser trailer for it. But this is a new Disney movie, and it follows a young girl named Asha. And, she makes a wish obviously the movie is called Wish, so you have to expect wishes to be made.
Yeah.
And she seemingly wants to make a wish. It's not super clear on what that wish is, but it seems she goes to the King Magnifico, which is voiced by Chris Pine, and it's seeming like he is the bad guy in this because he has this really ominous line, "Give your wish to me," and it's really creepy, and they zoom in on his face, and it kind of honestly gives me Ursula vibes a little bit with the, you know, you give your wish to me and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not entirely sure what her wish is that she makes, but she ends up wishing on a star, which is, you know, classic how you make a wish. And a troublemaking star comes down and joins her in her adventures, and the star is kind of causing havoc a little bit. She's a little in over her head with it, and her goat ends up being able to speak because the star sprinkles stardust on him.
Yeah, little Shrek vibes there.
Yeah, so we don't get too much information from it, but it looks so beautifully edited and animated. It almost looks like it's a painting, and it's just so beautiful. And of course, the representation as well. Asha being a black girl, she has braids, and she's voiced by Ariana DeBose, who is an incredible singer. She is fantastic at singing. So this movie is, I'm assuming, going to be very musical as well, on par with Disney kind of princessy movies. You know, you have that element of music in it, and she's perfect for it. It's a new idea, and it's, you know, it's different, and I really, really love that.
Yeah, I personally was even saying before that it looks very confusing a bit to me, that I'm like, what is going on here? But I did think that it was looking like a beautiful movie, and it's interesting because, you know, it doesn't show a lot of promise of like a love story there too much. Just seems like this girl's on an adventure. So I think that's also interesting that they're doing like a new take of like, this is a new princess introduced, but she's doing her own thing. It's not really a love story involved in this right now. We'll see. Yeah, we'll be able to talk about it a bit more when we get some more info and another trailer on it, so I'm excited for that. But that's all the time we have for this week's entertainment panel, so once again, thank you for joining us today. Ending off with another quick look at your 7-day forecast. Just had to show off these beautiful conditions again. We are going to be seeing a beautiful weekend, 16, 17, and a lot more sunshine, so make sure to get out there and enjoy it. Go for a walk outside if you must. And as we head into next week, be prepared. We got some 20 digits coming up, 22 Monday, and seeing it even reach 25 next Wednesday. We are going to be seeing those sunnier skies continue through the rest of next week.
Thank you so much for that, Shelby. I love all those temperatures I saw. One of the best forecasts I think we've seen in a long time. That's our show on this Friday night, though. Thank you so much all for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll be off next week, but Shelby will be here with Abby on Monday.